For those who believe the Miami Hurricanes will win at least 10 games this coming football season, here's why that's going to happen.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet and writer for allhurricanes.com. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. On today's episode, we will talk about the idea of mandatory injury reports coming to college football potentially, and why I think this is a great idea. On the negative side of things, I want to talk about what would be the worst possible game Miami could lose this coming football season. And then on the plus side, we're going to talk about the reasons why Miami looks a lot better on paper heading into this coming season and why folks believe there could be a 2, 3, 4 win improvement. And we are joined by the truth teller. As always, here on a Truth Teller Tuesday, Bruce Warner is with us. Bruce, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm happy. I'm better. I'm not dealing with any of this cold stuff. Thanks to all the people that wish me good luck and get better. Very nice of these guys. I'm starting to communicate a lot more with our listeners in these comments. Not all of them are great, but it's okay. I don't really care. You know, it's not going to bring me down. I'm just happy to be doing this. By the way, we're doing Friday shows too now. So if you like what you have on a Truth Teller Tuesday, tune in Friday. Not necessarily a Truth Teller Friday, but we're still going to be together. So what's up, man? What do you got on the list for us to talk about?
Well, okay, so here I want to build off of what you said last Friday, because you said it would be. I was a little bit more on the fence with this exact number, but you said less than 10 wins would be a failure, right?
Yeah,
and by the way, a lot of people agreed with you in the comments that for Miami this coming season, less than double-digit wins would be a failure. So let's start, Bruce, with the offense on why that should happen. So maybe the first one, we're going to talk about who's going to start, who are going to be the backups this year. The quarterback position, it's the easiest one, at least at the starters level. Cam Ward coming over 3,735 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last season, top 12 in passing last year at Washington State. He's your starting quarterback. In my mind, no question, he's an upgrade over Tyler Van Dyke from last year.
Yeah, there's that to me of all the upgrades, and we've been saying it all along. He was the key to this whole thing. He was the key to getting people in the portal to come to Miami. He's clearly, unless something bad happens, like he doesn't do well, clearly better than Van Dyke, more consistent than Van Dyke. You know, from one quarter to the next, we didn't know what this kid was going to do. So to me, even if we didn't get any other players, or we didn't get Martinez, or we didn't get Brown, I'd still think we're a million times better. So now when you factor in he's here, yeah, we lost an offensive lineman or two, but we're going to be, I think, even improved because the young kids have another year under their belt. Our wide receivers, I mean, come on. We don't really have that blue chip star, but we got.
Who do you have starting, by the way? Who's your starting 3 at wide receiver?
Restrepo, George, and I'm guessing Horton because he's been here before. And Brown would come in as the 4th guy. He would also be in there as a replacement for Horton, or he could be out there as the 4th receiver when they go 4 wide. But then again, JoJo and Ray are going to get some playing time, a lot of playing time. And then we'll see what happens with the young guns. Like Shamar Kirk, we saw him play. He was incredible when we went to the practices. And then, of course, you've got Nye Carr, which he looked pretty damn good. So I'm not worried about the wide receivers at all. They have a rotation of probably 6, and the other guys will get their playing time in some blowout games or whatever. The tight ends, as you talked about 10 minutes ago with me off the air, yeah, we're pretty loaded when you've got Arroyo and you got Williams, and now you got the kid from – I keep forgetting his damn name. The kid from
Lofton?
Yeah, Lofton. I mean, Lofton could be tight end. He could be an H-back. They could split him wide. He could be a running back. This kid is the X factor of all X factors that we've ever had on this team. He could do everything. So I don't. And then the running backs. Yeah, we got Damian. I know Fletcher's going to play. We still have AJ Allen. We're getting Lyle coming in. So, and then if still,
by the way, I talked about this yesterday on the show. Jordan Lyle is already apparently getting really good reviews for his offseason workouts. This was reported by D Money at Canes Insight. And then, Bruce, I talked about the conversation that you and I had a couple months ago with Don Solinger on how blown away he is by Jordan Lyle having spent some time with him. So, I wonder, it's a deep running back room. I wonder if that could be a freshman that does force himself to get on the field a bit.
I didn't even say Chris Johnson yet.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't know how much burn he's going to get. He's probably going to redshirt Humphrey Wheatley, but I think that Chris Johnson's got to get in the rotation, touch the ball 5, 6, 7 times a game. Allen, I don't know. Lyle. I don't know about Lyle. I know what we're talking about with Donnie, but it'd be nice to let this kid sit out a year, although I kind of doubt it because these freshmen that are that good, they get playing time.
Right.
And we don't know what's going to happen with Fletcher. Maybe he will redshirt. I don't know. I hope not.
Now, here's the question unit, which is something like in the big picture, I do not question Miami's offensive line. I think they're going to be really good. But when we're talking about upgrades or downgrades from last year, Bruce, if you're just going by what we have, our favorite phrase, on paper, if you go by what we have on paper, the offensive line could be, I hope this isn't the case, but it could be a slight downgrade from last year because, Matt Lee was one of the highest grade centers in the country. You lost him to the NFL. Right. Javion Cohen, one of the highest graded guards in the country. You lost him to the NFL. And, whether it's Okunlola or McCoy who replaces Cohen, they haven't really proven much yet at the college level. And, Zach Carpenter, I don't think he's as good as Matt Lee was. So there is a chance the offensive line is a unit where you didn't necessarily upgrade.
Maybe the word is they're the worst unit on the offense. Who the heck knows?
If that's the worst unit on the offense, the offense is going to score. We're going to score 45 points a game if that's the worst unit.
I agree. And you know what? I said 40, and I still believe we're going to score 40. And I still can't understand how anybody could stop that offense unless we hurt ourselves with stupid penalties and Ward plays like Van Dyke. I just can't see it. I can't. I'm trying to be pessimistic like I usually am, but I can't. I think this offense is the best I've seen in a long time. A long time. They're so loaded.
Yeah, like a couple of the units you talked about, when it comes to just like the 3 starting wide receivers, like you can debate whether it's an upgrade depending on, how people feel about Zay Horton, who hasn't proven as much, or Sam Brown, who, comes over from Houston versus, Colby Young, who you lost, who seems to be doing really well at Georgia. But I don't think there's any question the depth at wide receiver is better, right? So, maybe from 1 to 3, it might be a push. But from, 1 to 7, I think the receiving core is definitely better. I want to talk about the defense when we come back, Bruce, because, again, there's definitely a question area on the back end, but can the front end make up for that? And what kind of sack totals might we be looking at this year? I had a question about that from one of our Locked On Canes insiders. So we got the Truth Teller with us here on a Truth Teller Tuesday. We are live. So if you're watching us live right now on YouTube, you want to smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to our channel, Locked On Canes. If you're listening to the audio version, you want to make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. We are all over every podcasting platform here on the awesome Locked On Network. So keep it locked to Locked On Canes. And I know you're keeping it locked to FanDuel. Conference finals going on in the NHL and the NBA. It's winner take all time in these playoffs, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers to FanDuel get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. You got the Mavericks up 3-0, trying to close it out tonight at home. I think they can. I think they will. They're 2-point favorites. I think I'm looking at that 2-point favorite line. You got the Florida Panthers trying to even up their series with the New York Rangers tonight. Panthers are 1.5 favorites against the Rangers. Can they bounce back from that tough loss on home ice in overtime a couple of nights ago. You can check out all of this and more at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Make sure to visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Hey, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. We got the truth teller with us. So, Bruce, some of Miami's team stats from a season ago on defense. Miami ranked 24th in America in total defense, which was pretty good, and it was a big jump from the year prior. Where they really shined was rushing defense last year. I know there were a couple of games where they weren't very good. Overall, though, 11th in the nation in rushing defense, 55th in passing defense, and they were 19th in team sacks last year with 35 total. So now you could look at, 55th against the pass last year. Maybe that gets worse after, losing Cam Kinchins and James Williams and Jaden Davis and company from last season. You've got some uncertain players on the secondary. However, I am a firm believer, Bruce, that Miami's defensive line, I think, has gotten better with what they've done in the transfer portal and recruiting. I think Miami's linebacker room, which was already excellent last year, is probably better than it was a season ago. And you've got Kiko back for a final year in football. The Saint had a really good spring. You brought in Jalen Alderman as an experienced insurance policy. So I'm wondering how much of whatever question marks there are on the back end, how much of that can be hidden by the trenches.
Well, before we get to that, I want to call out a fool who's been making these comments. This Lunker Dog Fishing, the team just got stomped by Rutgers, and he's got a few other ridiculous anti-Miami comments on here.
That's Chill. That's our guy. That's our guy. Bruce, do not concern yourself with what our guy Chill has to say. He loves Miami probably more than you.
He sounds like an idiot, if you ask me. First of all,
he's a professional troll.
Okay, well, this guy, let him go sign up for Locked On Rutgers. This team didn't get stomped by Rutgers. These guys that we just got in the portal didn't play against Rutgers. Okay. Yeah, we had who? We had Brown. We had a bunch of others, second and third string guys. So you say he's a Cane fan?
He is a Cane fan, a bigger Canes fan than you and me combined. He loves Miami, but he loves to troll. He loves to troll people more than he loves Miami. I don't want him on.
Let him go troll someplace else. All right. So anyway, as far as a Cane fan is concerned, no Cane fan writes this kind of stuff. So you could say he's more of a Cane fan than me. Not happening.
Maybe not more than you, but more than most of us.
Okay. Well, like I said, no Cane fan writes this stuff. So you know what? He ought to be banned. I don't care if he's your best friend. He should be banned. What did you ask me?
I asked you, do you think Miami's front seven or front six now, if you want to call it that, now that a lot of teams play a 4-2-5 now, can Miami's trench play and linebacker play? Because I believe it's going to be significantly better in the trenches this year on defense. How much of whatever question marks you have about the defensive secondary, some good players, some unproven players, can the front seven erase some of those questions?
Yes, I think so. I think, look, we didn't have Messidor last year, so he's coming back to be on the roster. We didn't have Barrow. We didn't have Barron. And we have another year. We have a year under our belt with Bain. So I think we're going to be much better. And some of the young kids, I don't know what the condition is of Horton. I like to see him play, but he's been hurt. Didn't play last year, and now he's been hurt in the spring. So he's the kid I'm looking at. But I think the answer is yes. I think the linebackers, yes. The secondary, the tough spot on the team. But I think we'll be okay. So the answer is yes. They can protect. But, you mentioned Williams, you mentioned Kinchins. Well, I didn't really see them do that much. Kinchin had 6 picks or whatever he had, but he got
5 last year, 6 the year before.
He got burned a lot. Williams got burned a lot. Williams was in the box. He should have been back. I can't say because they left. They were that great. I just don't think they did as much as maybe people thought from from those two guys. So I think the answer is yes. I think our secondary will improve as the season goes on, and I think it's going to make it up. Now, whether we win 10, 11 games, it's got to be on the defense.
Well, let me know. Do you disagree with any of my projected defensive starters? Because not all of these were easy picks, especially on the defensive line. Because there's a few guys who are potentially rotational players who could start, but I have penciled into my starting lineup. I've got Simeon Barrow and C.J. Clark from NC State starting inside at defensive tackle. I've got Rueben, Bain, and the other side is tough, Bruce, because is it Rueben, Bain, and Tyler Barron who just came over, or is it Bain and Elijah Alston who got a lot of important reps during spring, or is it Mesidor starting? I mean, some people aren't even sure if Bain start. I think Bain will start, but as far as like my front four goes, it was difficult. That's the lineup that I would feel most confident in as starters: Clark and Barrow inside, Bain and probably Tyler Bain, but I haven't even seen him practice yet. So I'm going by feel on this one, Bruce. What do you think?
My guess is that Mesidor is going to start.
Okay.
With Bain on the outside and the two guys you mentioned in the inside. I think Barron may or may not start. But, he may be coming in a lot. I'm not sure what Guidry's got dialed up. He's got 5 or 6 defensive linemen that he could rotate sometimes either inside or outside with the talent that he's got.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting him to mix it up, not go out there with the same look. Maybe some 3-4 or something like that. Maybe even 3-4-4. But I'm not a defensive coordinator. All I know is our talent up front is much better. And so, yes, the answer to the overall question is yes, they're going to protect the secondary. I've always said that. All these guys that we've had on, all my friends that I brought on, the linebackers, remember Jesse Armstead said the same thing. The defensive line is what makes the defense better. It helps the linebackers, obviously, and the secondary, as long as they have more time to cover, or if they have less time to cover, when the pass rush is good, it makes them better. So, yeah, I think the answer clearly is going to be our defense will be better. You might not need standout defensive backs to have a great season. They could still play great with the pressure being put on by the defensive line.
Yeah, when I spoke to at the end of last week, I got to interview Jadis Richard, who's I think he's hopefully in store for a breakout year as a cornerback this year. And when he started talking about Miami's defensive line, Bruce, when he started talking about the trenches, like he was absolutely glowing. Like he has so much confidence in what Miami has on the front line and front 6 or 7 of their defensive front that he's basically saying these guys are going to make our jobs easier. And, something when we were out there watching spring practices, Bruce, and obviously Ward was hitting a lot of big throws and drills, but like you can't touch the quarterback in spring practice. So, right. He's getting extra time that is just manufactured because you cannot sack him and you cannot touch him. When you get to actual games and Miami is going up against, whatever quarterbacks, they're going up against DJ Uiagalelei, they're going up against Tyler Shuck from Louisville, they're going up against Graham Mertz at Florida. You can put these guys under so much duress that secondary is not going to have to cover for very long. And that's exactly what Richard was telling me about.
Yeah, well, that's why I want to see pressure. I want to see him dialing up more, not necessarily exotic blitzes like we had when we had Manny, but I think there's enough talent in there. We should be able to stop the run. We should be able to seal the edge. We should be able to pressure the quarterback, especially Mertz. We need to get to these guys. And so, yeah, the secondary is going to take time because they're all new playing together. As a unit, they're new playing together. Even the front 4 is going to be a new unit, so to speak. And some people have made these comments I've seen here and there that they're worried about not having these guys play together. They're going to Gainesville and haven't really played any games at all as a unit because we've talked about that. The offense is different. The defense has not really played well. Or played as a unit, and they haven't gelled. But I'm still confident that they're going to do well, and they're going to beat Florida.
So Miami was I love that. Miami's going to beat Florida. So Miami last year had 35 team sacks. That was good for 19th in the country, which was pretty darn good. I think they're going to be better this year. But I got a question from one of our Locked On Canes insiders, Bruce, who was asking me, Do I think Rueben Bain this year is going to break Miami's single season sack record? I looked up who that was. Danny Stubbs. Way back. Danny Stubbs, 17 sacks. Yeah. He had
the answer is no. He's going to get
right.
More
the answer is no. I agree. Yeah.
Right. No, he might not even get to 10. He's a marked man. That's for sure. And any offensive coordinator is going to go with him. They're going to make sure that somebody chips him or a back is watching him. He's not going to have he might not even have the same year he had last year. It just depends.
Thing is, I think there's with more pass rushers on the right. Like I didn't even mention Malik Bryant, who I think can have a good year moving into a pass rusher role. I think Bain. I think he can reach double digits. I don't think he's going to get close to 17 because you can only give him so much attention when you also have Mesidor or Tyler Barron or Elijah Alston or Malik Bryant on the field. And then Bruce, when you're in third and long as a defense, you can put your NASCAR package on the field where you can move Bain and Mesidor inside and have Barron and Alston or whoever on the outside. So I think Bain, it's as long as he stays healthy, you can only give him so much attention when you have other horses that are going to be on the field.
But if I'm the offensive coordinator for the opposition, I'm still going to make sure I know where Bain is at all times and let somebody else pick up the slack, make them pick up the slack. Right now, again, we're just talking like on paper again. I don't know what those guys are going to do, but I know what Bain can do. So I'm going to make sure Bain doesn't beat me. And if someone else starts beating me, I'll worry about it when the time comes. That's how I look at it. I would make sure that Bain doesn't make, 10 tackles and 3 sacks every game.
So we've talked about the positives and why this team can and hopefully will win 10 or more games. Now, negative would be Miami has this ability. It's in our DNA ever since we joined the ACC of finding ways to lose games you're absolutely supposed to win. So we look at games that are not only possible trap games for next year, Bruce, but the game that it would be the most embarrassing to lose. We will get to that and more when we come back. You want to keep it locked right here, my friends. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Thank you for making Locked On Canes your first listen each and every day. Everydayers, we love you. And if you want to take your everydayer experience to the next level, sign up for our exclusive Locked On Canes Insiders chat. I include the link in the show description below. When you sign up to become a Locked On Canes Insider, you get text messages directly from my phone to yours with breaking news, recruiting scoops. Hopefully we'll have some of those this weekend. First weekend of official visits is coming up. We'll be covering that, of course, throughout the week. Any sort of breaking news, we have it for you guys. You can ask me one-on-one questions. Click the link below. Become a Locked On Canes Insider. Try it free for 14 days. Then if you like it, you can opt in for $4.99 a month. We give you a lot of added value on there on the Locked On Canes Insiders chat. All right, so Bruce, I'm looking through Miami's schedule coming up because, again, one of the things that Miami needs in order to reach that next level, if you're talking about winning 10, 11 games, you need to exercise the demons of not slipping on the banana peel, right? Not, failing to take the knee against Georgia Tech and giving up a Hail Mary, right? Not finding ways to, I don't even want to bring up Middle Tennessee from the year. I just said it, but I brought it up. So if I look through the schedule, Bruce, now I'm just going to assume that Miami beats, FAMU and Ball State, that they're not going to lose those games. So what would you say, like between these three, which would be the more embarrassing trap game loss for Miami? Obviously, we hope Miami wins all of these games, but would losing to Georgia Tech for a second straight year after what happened last year, you play them on the road this year, would that be it? Would losing to USF, and not saying USF's a bad team, by the way, it's an up-and-coming program, but still, that's, one of your quote-unquote little brothers within the state. A lot of these players played with each other and against each other in high school. Would USF be the most embarrassing loss, or would it be losing at home to Manny Diaz and the Duke Blue Devils?
Look, anyone, we shouldn't even be talking like this. I mean, I know I've been saying we're going to win 10 games. I've been saying
the thing is, we've been pumping so much sunshine for the past 24 minutes.
And now when you ask me that question, I'm thinking to myself, we can lose to any of those teams. Who the hell are we? I mean, I understand what we've been talking about. I've been very positive, and I think rightfully so. But we haven't played a game yet. We just haven't. We could lose to the Gators, and that would be the most embarrassing. Any one of these teams. I just think that we're better than everybody, except I don't know what's going to happen against Florida State. Florida is on the road. I get it. It's a tough place to play, but losing to any of these other teams would be very embarrassing. That's why I said 10 wins minimum. I don't see too many teams beating us. Now, we could wind up 6-6, and all these comments that these people make. I could be the laughing stock of all the the sports guys in South Florida. But I have a hard time believing we're going to lose to these teams. And so when you ask me most embarrassing, what was the first game you said?
Georgia Tech.
After
what happened last year.
Not happening. Yeah. That's not happening.
You should try to put 50 on the. After what happened last year, you should try to blow them out this year.
50 what? $50?
50 points. Miami should put up 50 on them.
Oh, points. That doesn't matter to me. We're not losing to them. We're not losing to Duke. We're not losing to many of those teams. The teams that I worry about. I said to you before, I watched this on YouTube. They have these simulated games. In the simulated games, we beat Florida. We beat Florida State, but we lost to Louisville. Now, the trap game would be who do we play after Florida State? Do any of you guys know?
Hold on, I got the schedule for
seconds,
you. Yeah, after Florida State is Duke. Duke at home. That's after Florida State.
So that could be a trap game because we always suck after we play Florida State. Yeah, but I would think that with Manny and Duke coming to town, that these guys are fired up. But many of these kids weren't even here when Manny was here already. True. Most of them
who's still left from Andy Borregales? Is he how many people are actually left?
He's been here a couple of years.
Restrepo was with Manny.
Jacoby was here, I believe.
Yeah, there's not many though. They're dropping like flies. The guys who were here during the
Rivers
Manny
was here.
Yeah, that's right.
Cooper was here, I believe.
Cooper was the first year of Mario. He came in.
Really? He's only been. Maybe that is right. Yeah. Okay.
He's
so really, not a lot. That's what I said. Not a lot of former players that played under Diaz.
Yeah.
Look, to me, a lot of these questions are silly because we always predict, and then we did lose to Georgia Tech, and the way we lost was just unforgettable. I don't see that happening again.
Bruce, I remember when I did after every football game Miami plays, I do a YouTube short right at a reaction 1 minute right after the game, win or lose, and I was so just emotionally exhausted when I did my YouTube. People can still find this on YouTube. The YouTube short that I did after Georgia Tech. I don't think I was, but a lot of people thought I was crying. My eyes were red because I had been awake for 18 hours.
No, you were crying.
People was I?
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, I said Jacoby George, and these guys are putting on Jacoby and George. Yeah, I mentioned his name that he was here.
Yeah, you did mention his name. Yeah,
I did mention his name.
Guys who were here during the Manny Diaz era. By the way, I want to get to this. So I don't know if this would ever come to the ACC. Now, hopefully, if another conference were to adopt this, maybe the ACC would follow suit. Because one of the things that SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey mentioned that they're going to discuss in the SEC, they're having their spring meetings, is possibility of bringing mandatory injury reports, right? Which is, what they do in the NFL, NBA, where you have to give people honest. You don't have to post exactly what the injuries are. Here's a copy of the MRIs, nothing like that. But if you can say, hey, so-and-so is doubtful with, lower body injury, or so-and-so is out, so-and-so.
Don't they have that now?
It's no longer. I think they did away with it around COVID, and so now it's the reason why. And Miami's not the only program that's like this, but so secretive about injuries that fans have no idea what's going on. But here's the big problem, Bruce. College football has become such a juggernaut when it comes to sports betting, and when you have certain insiders who may have that information and the general public doesn't. I don't think you can get away with with how prevalent gambling has become, and we no longer have to pretend that gambling is not a thing.
Yeah, but
people used to have to do a few years ago.
Forget the pretending part. Why do we have to pander to the gamblers? Because you and all these guys gamble or have all these gambling sites you can go to.
Well, first of all, I mean, is it
There's
fair
85
that
guys on the roster? What are you going to say, that this guy's got a chipped tooth or something? I would say playing, definitely out,
Yeah.
or maybe, or but I don't know if you have to list every guy.
But do
Again,
fans?
I'm not a gambler, so I don't know.
But okay, fans, whether they're gambling or not, do fans deserve more clarity to know, hey, this guy may not play this week. This guy's questionable. Like, do fans deserve more clarity? Because the way that I look at it is, like, I understand why there hasn't been clarity, because it's like, oh, the whole student athlete thing. We want to protect everyone's privacy. I understand that perspective, but I'm looking now. College football is basically a professional sport now, with the way that things are evolving. Payment, they're going to be revenue sharing pretty soon, NIL money. I don't know. Like, I would have no problem with mandatory injury reports. And again, you don't have to say every specific diagnosis for every player, but if a guy's questionable or doubtful, I feel like fans are entitled to know that.
Well, that's how you feel. And I said doubtful is a good explanation. Questionable, out, or that's it. I don't really think you need anything other than that. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that part of it. But you don't have to name the injury, like a high ankle sprain. Right. You don't need to do that.
No.
If you have a high ankle sprain, you're doubtful. That's it. You don't have to mention it. I don't have a problem with that. But there's 85 guys. You're going to go through every one of them?
There are a lot. Yes. There are a lot. And if you see some of those NFL injury reports, they are lengthy. Well, listen, we appreciate everyone. And by the way, most people disagree with me on the injury. Most of you do not want mandatory injury reports. So maybe I'm thinking with my FanDuel account, and I'm not, thinking with the actual.
That's a gambler's mentality.
It is.
Right? I guess it is.
We appreciate it.
We're going to do another show Friday, but we're going to
we're going to do another show Friday.
All right. And I'll try to be more negative to make everybody happy.
Yeah, what is this? You're being so positive today. Well,
listen, because I just believe in what he's done. I believe in what he's done since he's been here. My only concern, and your concern, and a lot of these guys' concern, seems to be whether or not he can coach.
Right, exactly.
We know
he can build. We know he can recruit. Yeah,
right. He's my friend, but I'm not throwing him under the bus. But that's a legitimate concern. We've had too many blips in 2 years. Can't have any more blips. I'll feel a lot better if we go to Gainesville and beat the crap out of them. I could say that on the air, right? Beat the crap out of them. I'm sure everybody that's watching this show wants to beat the crap out of them. Just let them lay in there in a pool of blood, like a crime scene. Put a big yellow tape around the stadium up there, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, wherever it's called. That's what we should be doing. We walk out of that stadium, it's goodbye.
I love it. Everyone, make sure you smash that like button. Smash it for Bruce's positivity today. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Canes on YouTube, the audio version, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. So we'll bring Bruce back on Friday. I will talk to you guys again tomorrow on another episode. We'll talk more recruiting since we're heading into this first OV weekend. So we'll talk to you then on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.